So how did you start becoming a storyteller?
Well, that's a story.
That's a story.
It's a story, and there's a story within that story, and I'll tell that story. It's one of my favorite stories. But the bigger story is that basically, it was my last semester of university of college, and I happened to find a class that last semester that was being offered called storytelling. And I didn't know really anything about storytelling. I remembered as a kid being told stories, but I didn't know that there was something called storytelling per se. And there was this class, and it was this professor, and it was his last semester. He was retiring, and he wanted to teach on storytelling because that's what he loved doing. That's what he was. He was a storyteller. And so he did this amazing class. And what happened was every time we started a class, him or his graduate student would tell a story, a folktale, a legend. And the following class, the whole class would tell the story back as a group. One person would say one part, and then the next person would say, well, I was there, and I remember that what happened next was da-da-da-da-da. And so in this way, they told this Irish story to kind of kick everything off, the story of Brian O'Brien, the man who thought he couldn't tell a story. And the second class, we all told it back, so it firmed it up in my mind. And then a group of friends of mine and they weren't in the class, but they were interested in storytelling because they liked comics, they liked movies, they liked video games, different ways of storytelling. So we all got together one night on the campus, and we just shared stories. And I don't know quite how it happened, but on the way back, as we were leaving, we were still a group, and we ended up at this bench on the side of the road. And suddenly I had to tell the story of Brian O'Brien. And, I'd kind of told it to some people before, but that night I got up on the bench and I just started speaking, and it was like electricity flowing through me. And it was just amazing. And suddenly I was like, whoa, I like this. I could do this. And it really clicked with other parts of my experience of the world because I loved I was a very shy kid, very, very shy kid, which you might not guess just seeing me now. But as a kid, I was very socially shy. But when I was on stage, I was like a different person, especially with music, because that's how I was on stage. I didn't do drama or anything like that. And then the other aspect of how it fit with me was that I loved fantasy and science fiction, the mythical, the magical. And I always thought that if I was going to spend my time in those worlds, the only way to do it would be as a writer of fantasy or science fiction. I thought that would be cool, but I wasn't drawn to writing the way that writers are often passionately drawn to writing. So I was like, what am I going to do? But then suddenly there's storytelling. And as a storyteller, you are in that world. You're in that world and this world, and you're the bridge between those worlds as you're telling the stories. And it's that performance setting, which I really loved so much. And so it all came together.